So I went to Epcot this morning, and I hung out. I got some work done. It was something I've wanted to do for a while. I wasn't there long, a few hours. But I went to guest relations, and I left feedback that streamers are ruining the guest experience. And I let the woman know. I said, I'm a streamer. I said, could probably blame me for kicking off the all the streamers on TikTok. I didn't quite say it that way, but I made it known. I said, but I'm also a former cast member, and I'm much less interested in my own self-interest at this point in the equation, and much more interested in making sure that something is done about the way that this has gotten completely out of control. I was in Epcot last night. Oh my God, Royce, why do you go to Epcot so much? I don't, just stop. So I was there last night, and there's this Yenta there. Yenta is almost a compliment. It's not, but there was this subhuman individual there, and I say subhuman because the way you choose to carry yourself along the way, it says a lot. And look, I could be the nicest guy in the world, or I could be the biggest, what. And it really comes down to what you put into the machine. And I tired very easily of people's antics. And that goes for everyone. And I really do. I just tire of it. I tire of it, especially when I'm in battle mode. And said individual has shown to be subhuman along the way several times. So it doesn't matter who we're talking about. The point is, I'm at the point now where I am ready to end this trend. People say, Royce, you kicked off. I don't walk around saying these things. Other people say them. So I'm referencing what other people say because I could care less. And it's, I've had, Royce, do you think it's kind of cool that you kicked off this whole streaming thing? You know what? No, I really don't. I really don't. Okay, and let me tell you why. First of all, I don't think I kicked off this whole streaming thing. I don't. People were streaming on YouTube. Do I think that maybe I was at the front in a very large way at the front of streaming Disney parks and maybe even theme parks? Absolutely. Do I get credit for it from most people? No. Do I want credit from most people for it? No. There's a few people that will say it along the way, and they're like, yeah, maybe you're right, but I don't care. The only reason I'm saying it now is because if it is in fact true, then I will happily be the person to end this trend, and I'm going to make it my mission. It's out of control. And it's not just the live streamers, it's the vloggers too, okay? But, it's kind of hard to manage the line in a world of content creation. And I really do think from the broader perspective that content creators need regulation. But how do you tell the difference between somebody that's just so narcissistic that they're posting their entire vacation online versus somebody who's trying to build an audience? And oftentimes what I see is that there's not even a hard line between that. There's often many people that don't even realize that the reason that they even linger in some of these quote unquote communities is because they're in search of their own audience. So all that to say, look, I started, it was a mental health escape for me. Now it's like I just want a mental health escape from dealing with the whole of it because, I look at this situation here and I say, where's the upside? There's none. And if you look at it from a liability perspective, we're talking about people that are trying to use the park to build an audience. Now, I built an audience doing this very thing, but number one, if I really was at the front of the trend, so they say, then it only reinforces the fact that I wasn't trying to do what I did. I wasn't trying to kick off a trend. Was I trying to build an audience? I guess so. But I wasn't trying to do it at the detriment of the guest experience. And I always tried from day one to respect that line. Try not to put people's kids on cameras. Why are we staring at a wall? Because it's disrespectful to put somebody's vacation on a live stream. And you would think for the so many cretins that have gone out there with their BS names. I mean, the pathetic names that I see too, and I want to rattle them off so bad, but I'm not going to punch down. Okay. The only reason I even wasted my time with this cretin the other night was because it was about the experience, and it was about what was happening in that moment. Okay. And really, if I catch anybody in that circumstance, I will do the same thing, but I'm not going to sit here and name names because they'll enjoy it too much. But the bottom line is, most of these people are just in pursuit of their own clout with no respect for the guest experience. Now, it's not all of them. And in a world where it's really hard to draw that line on vloggers, and if you're coming at it from a corporate perspective, from a liability perspective, then you have to look at the streamers, the live streamers first, as the largest exposure pool. Because the live streamers are there in real time. So now what's happening? What kind of exposure does that give Disney? The first set of exposures that it gives Disney is in respect to the guest. And that's a privacy thing, whether that's taking your kids out of school when maybe you told the school that they were supposed to be somewhere else. Maybe you're, supposed to be working from home and you're sneaking in a vacation. I mean, people need to survive, right? And because there's no self-regulation amongst these quote unquote live streamer content creators, because there's no self-regulation, that becomes the largest exposure. Because now what you're doing in real time is you are putting the park guests out there for public consumption, and it creates a certain set of liabilities. And I just gave you a few examples. There's many, many more. I'll allow you to think of them. I mean, it's really not hard when you stop and take a look at it objectively to realize the problems there. So that's just the privacy of the guests. Then we have the parasocial relationships between the audiences and not just the content creator / streamers. Forget that for a second, but the cast members. Because in the situation of something like a tally, it's not just the vloggers, but now in real time, somebody like that is being pursued. A cast member now is becoming larger than the brand itself in a moment of real time. And that's detrimental to the brand on a whole nother level. So you have all these different reasons, right? Then you do have the detriment to the brand, because the overexposure of Disney now makes people see things that they would never see before, and it lessens the experience. What was once a heightened experience now becomes something that is already oversaturated. And even though there's a certain type of person that will pay the price of admission to go watch Beauty and the Beast, even though they watch it 10 times a day on a TikTok live, that's not the kind of customer Disney wants. You see, Disney wants families. And whether you like it or not, Disney wants families that are going to build memories. Okay, and whether you like what's going on in the park, and there's a lot of what's going on in the park that I do not like, I still love the company and the founder, and I have a huge respect for the guest experience. So you open your so live streaming really is the first thing to attack here, because without self-regulation, what are we to do? And I don't think that the cast members are paid enough to regulate this kind of thing. So now you need to have an edict, and it works in Tokyo. I'll tell you a quick story. Quick, I gotta fill at least like 45 minutes out quick. I'll stretch out a short story for you. So we're in Tokyo, and I don't want to break rules. First of all, I will break rules. Let's just get this out. I love to break rules, but I don't want to break rules. I'm in Disney. Like, I want to play by the rules because I love it, right? So it's only when I'm challenging authority that the gloves come off. So we're in Tokyo, and I go to the front desk at the Miracosta, and I say, look, I'm a streamer, blah, 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 blah. I'm not quite sure the rules. And they went back, and they spoke to a manager, and they said to me, listen, as long as you respect the guest and you don't put guests on camera, and you're not like filming the rides when your screen is like, if you can just, kind of lay low with it, you'll be fine. And I'm like, cool, because then I can just kind of like do a walk through the park and the quiet areas, do some zen from, some wide shot, whatever. So I did it, and we're taking a walk. And then the next thing you know, we realize that we've been followed for like 2 hours by security. And security doesn't even really know the regulations at this point. So we actually wind up confronting security before security confronts us. And Nick tries to be, go up and what, and I'm just like, dude, I'm like, what's the problem? I mean, like, I asked. Like, I don't care. I don't care where I'm at. I don't care what country I'm in. I've already asked. Now you can, like, in other words, if I've asked for what the rules are and you told me what they are and now you're changing them on me, yeah, now I'm going to be a little PO'd. So I'm like, can you please get somebody else? And you could all tell that the people we wound up speaking to were basically like rolling their eyes at the guy that was trailing us because we weren't doing anything wrong. And I was honoring what I was told. And we chatted with them, and they couldn't really find a policy written anywhere that defined it. It was sort of just a known thing that you're not supposed to live stream in Tokyo. I'm not even sure if it's written anywhere, honestly. They couldn't find it in this moment. I'm standing there at the entrance to Disney Sea having this conversation with Tokyo security. This is my first trip there, not my second trip. All right? So it can be done. It can be done. And it's not easy. It's not easy. But if I'm over there in Tokyo having conversations with people in a language that I don't even understand, then you as a fakakta live streamer can have some self-regulation when you're standing in front of a crowd of children in front of a stage of performers in the middle of a theme park. Your content's not that important. Not your live stream, not your horizontal, for your TikTok, YouTube, fakakta, Twitch. I don't care. And nobody's watching anyway. They're not watching my crap. They're not watching your crap. You want to know why? Because it's all oversaturated. There's a few people that are watching you, and there's a few people that are watching me, and the size of our profiles, numbers, and follower count, none of that matters. Who cares? I'm sick of it. I didn't get into this for this shit. It's appalling. It is my mission to make sure that live streaming in Walt Disney World comes to an end effective immediately. I will continue to make as much money as I can while I'm in the parks, but also make sure that this happens. Call me a hypocrite. I don't care. I made it my job. And then a whole bunch of other people said, oh, wow, yeah, I guess it's easy. And it's not easy. I made it look easy. And you people make it look bad. So don't come up to me with your friggin' gimbal and tell me that you watch me, because you don't watch me. Because if you were watching me, you would see how I've done it for years. You'd see that I do it with a certain level of respect for the company, for the guests, for the cast members. And maybe I'm angry, maybe I'm sarcastic, maybe I'm all these different things. Maybe I lean into the persona of being a little bit extra annoyed these days. I'm just trying to have fun because so many of you people have ruined it. From the audience side, the parasocial bullshit, okay, to stalking cast members, to stalking content creators, to ruining the guest experience, to armchair imagineering, to immediately critiquing your first glance at a new show. I'm watching The Little Mermaid and everyone's bitching about I'm like, you haven't even seen this, and even if you have seen it, you've seen it on a TikTok live. Like, just shut up and watch it. There's a comment section. It doesn't mean you need to use it. You understand what I'm trying to say? So I don't give a fuck about Reddit. I don't care. Say what you want to say, okay? But I have a lot of friends who are cast members, particularly in the tech side of things in the company, that work really hard to provide all of those shows, okay, and all of those attractions. All right. And I'm talking across all the parks. Friends I've known, not just, prior to working there, but friends I've made working there. So I recognize that while there's not everything that is perfect going on right now, and there's certainly a lot of problems. I saw Blog Mickey. They must watch me because I'm sitting there talking about the trip hazards and watching people trip. And then the next thing you know, there's an article. So it's kind of amazing. I mean, obviously we all know it's a broken area, but I mean, it's kind of amazing. Like, it's no coincidence that I'm talking about it and making a stink about it, okay, to the company. All right. And then there's articles, but so be it. Because guess what? I don't care about the content and the clicks. I care about getting the shit done. All right. That plexi in the middle there, it's abhorrent. Okay, and I love the company, but I'm going to call it out when I see it. It is also a major safety issue. So I call these things as I see them. But I got so much love for the place, so much love for the people that keep it all running. Okay, that includes the retirees and the college kids. So I have so much respect. And somebody made a comment to me the other day. Well, I'm college program, and the kids don't really start till 2. And I wasn't saying that they didn't. I think I just was saying how the park runs on and they just kind of made that delineation. But I never thought about it. And now these last few days, I'm noticing sort of the difference. I'm like, yeah, it's like the park kind of gets handed off. I mean, all these years, I never really stopped and kind of thought about it from that perspective. And it's kind of funny. Now I'm seeing it. But it's the way that these parks are run by college kids and retirees, and they don't need to put up with the nonsense. They are not paid enough, okay, to deal with the guests, let alone deal with the content creators. So I'll say it again. If you can't self-regulate, if you aren't able to conduct yourself in a way that keeps you laying low and preserves the guest experience, then you don't deserve to be there. Okay, and I really, really hope that they start cracking down on this. And I will go into a guest relations station every single day and file this feedback. I will do it single-handedly. And I will talk to all of my cast member friends to talk to all of their managers, and I'll get it done from the inside. That's my mission. Call me a hypocrite, but I've never disrespected the guest experience like these people disrespect the guest experience. I'm not going to say that I haven't gone over the line from time to time. Now, I've done some things people will blow out of proportion, like mocking people. But listen, if you drop your kid in the fountain, guess what? Game over. As soon as you break the rules, that's a different story for me. And if you're going to be trash, I'm going to call you out on it. All right. But generally speaking, I have shown, or at least I have shown the audience that chooses to watch, that there's a way to do what we do and not get in the way of the guest experience. It's a very, very simple idea. These kids, these families, some of them save up their entire lives. Sometimes it is a multi-generational thing. Sometimes it is the only way it's getting done is because it's grandparents paying for it, right? That's what I mean. Or sometimes it's literally just waiting. Literally Disney put out a survey talking about, are you waiting for an inheritance? People are literally waiting sometimes to be able to afford through various means to go to Disney World. And it just unnerves me. So I'm going to cool down on the rant. I got some other stuff to talk about. I don't even remember what it is. I went to Infocom. That was a lot of fun. I should be making content on all these things, but I like to go and I like to live. And I'm so tired of content. Like, I can't stand it. So I'm much more there for the business. But I met a guy from Pennsylvania, closer to my home turf, my hometown, and they're working on some stuff that is very much in the same space that I'm working on. So I have to reach out to them. But it's one of those things where you don't realize till you get there that you really do keep your ear to the ground. I kind of stunned myself. I just got a PTZ camera. If you don't know what PTZ camera is, a PTZ camera basically allows you can control it, right? It's a remote control camera, just to be oversimplified here. I can't even remember. I know what PTZ stands for, but right now I'm so tired. I just got back from Epcot. I just took a shower. I'm kind of like sun fried. I can't even think right now. It's like it's very, very simplistic. Whatever. Point something. I don't know. Now I want to try to figure it out, but I'm not going to. Anyway, but a PTZ camera, you can remote control it. Okay, you can do it through the web. It can be plugged in over the internet, right? So what I like about the PTZ camera is not only does it have, it's pan tilt zoom. There you go. Just as I'm talking out loud, PTZ, pan tilt zoom. So there you go. Just took a moment, folks. I am also operating on a delay, but it's pan tilt zoom, and you can do it all remote control. And you can do it over IP, you can use USB, whatever it may be, but it's really nice because it's got zoom built in, and now I can use one camera to cover 5, 6, 7 different shots in my house when I go live. And I had some ideas how I wanted to implement a different camera, an extra camera, I should say, an extra camera, add some audio. So I was going to enjoy Infocom, but by the time Infocom rolled around, I was in need of a solution to bridge the audio for my PTZ camera because there's a mic built in, but I wanted something remote, maybe Bluetooth. And here I am. And by the way, PTZ cameras are super old. They're not new. But here I am, and all over Infocom were PTZ cameras and audio solutions. And I was like, wow, this is a wild moment for me because I'm looking at how like dialed in I am to the culture, because these conventions, these floors are always ahead of the curve, right? That's how it works. This is the buyer and the seller market. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow, this is wild. Like I'm looking for something and it is literally the thing dominating, the convention floor this year. And it was blowing me away. So I found an audio solution. I got to test it after this that I think may work. In fact, the woman gave me the mic for free. She gave me the mic for free. It was very sweet. And then I go over to this other booth and I'm looking at their PTZ cameras. And I'm a geek. I mean, I'll go up to the guys and be like, can I help you with anything? I'll be like, yeah, you have any free samples? Like they're going to hand me a camera, I just cracked. Like I went to IAPA, go up to the roller coaster guy. You have any free samples? You know what I mean? Like, I just think it's funny. And like, my buddy will be with me. He'll be like, dude. And I'm like, come on, whatever. Like the B&H guys were there. The B&H guys, they're a bunch of Hasidic Jews. And I wanted to go up to them and be like, you have enough for a minion? One more? I'm right here. He's like, please don't. I'm like, there's enough. There's enough of them there. So I'm standing there and I'm looking at the PTZ cameras in this one particular booth. And I say to the guy, you got to IoT to PTZ. He goes, excuse me? Now, IoT is the Internet of Things. If this, then that. It is the way you use your Amazon devices to make things at home talk through the Internet, right? I go, you got IoT the PTZ. He goes, what? And this other guy comes over and goes, IoT the PTZ. I go, yeah, you got IoT the PTZ. What are we doing here? And he goes, I like that. He goes, come here. You're interesting. And I go, don't I know it? And so he takes me over to this screen and he shows me what they're working on. And I'm like, bro, we got to talk. And you're from like my neck of the woods. So I got to reach out to them. It was very, very exciting. And I had an absolute blast. I'm always apprehensive. I always want to find a reason to not go to these things. And then I always have a great time. That is the story of my life. Now, this morning, I'm in Epcot. I'm enjoying myself, and there's a new show. They took the guys off the boardwalk. It's like this whole juggling thing. Was it Max and Adar or Max and I don't quite remember their names. Max and Adar, I think it is. And it's a new little. It's a show that's been around, particularly I think on the boardwalk, maybe somewhere else in the World Showcase, but they just brought it over into World Celebration right off the side of the Encanto stage. They kind of just set it up right over there. And it's just this kind of little wild sort of street magic. It's really more juggling, right? But it's a little street show. And I'm like, when people look at Disney and start to criticize, I have to take a pause. And I have to go, do you not realize what the world looks like? Like, do you not realize that the idea of a world showcase, that the idea of a theme park like Epcot celebrating world culture is because when you go around the world, these things are there to be experienced. Go live entertainment, poetry in a square, wherever it may be, just anywhere, a fire show on a beach. I mean, I'm not even going for the low hanging fruit. I'm being almost abstract. And I'm thinking about my own experiences. And the reason that the World Showcase works, or at least used to work, and I still think it does. I think it worked a lot better at one point, was because of all of those shows. I remember, I believe it was in China, the street show. I don't think they did it in Japan. I think it was in China. With the kid, maybe it was in Japan. It could have been in Japan. I really don't remember. They were little Asian kids. I don't know if they were Chinese, and I don't know. They could have been Japanese. They could have been Chinese. I don't want to talk about this anymore. But these kids were jumping through. They were jumping through the tubes, and they were doing the tricks, and it was great, and it was fantastic, And now you still have the drummers in Japan. You have the mime over in Italy. It's great. It's great. I was trying to think, is there anything over in France? I feel like, well, during the holidays, they'll do like the Noel storyteller stuff. But what I like about Epcot is the celebration of culture through performance. I like a lot of things about Epcot, but it's just one of the things I really, really enjoy, whether it's the mariachi band or little Asian kids jumping through. I don't remember. They could have been Japanese. They could have been Chinese. I think they were Chinese. I know they weren't Thai. That I know. There's no. Anyway, now I feel like I'm like hacking, literally rehacking a curb thing, but it doesn't matter. The point is, the kids were fantastic. I'm not saying anything bad about these kids. They were great. I don't think they were treated well. It's just my guess. But they were fantastic. Bring them back. So that's why I like things like Forces of Nature. That's like why I like these guys doing the juggling thing. It's fantastic. But Epcot is supposed to be community. Epcot is supposed to celebrate culture. So, when you go and you watch La Cala or whatever, however I look at it, I don't speak Spanish other than like por favor, montaña, say hundred de puertas. I mean, like there's nothing else. I mean, I could barely say that. And I slur it at the end because I'm not quite sure how to do it. So I just kind of mumble it. But my point being is that all of these things, whether it's, the Latin flavor of La Cala in the middle of World Celebration, or whether it's the band performing in Canada or the guys in the UK, or I mean, the lunatics in Germany. I mean, those guys are hilarious. And I say lunatics with love, but those guys playing with the kitchen utensils, I mean, it's a riot. And if that's the stuff that really makes Disney special, we stopped on the boardwalk last night. It was like Dapper Dan's After Dark. I don't know if Shelby or somebody else said that. So I don't want to, I'm not going to give credit where it's due. I don't think she said it, though. I think somebody else said it, but okay, fine. But it was really good. Somebody said they should sing Frankie Valli. I wish they would have. But it was really, really good. I love the live music. So for me, these are the things that make Epcot special. And to think that it's somehow relegated to Disney would be a misnomer. The reason Disney has so much of these things is not because it's Disney, it's because Disney is celebrating world culture. I mean, I really love the fact that I can say that I've been to all these different places and been able to have the opportunity to look at other cultures. Okay, so I feel like I've seen enough to be able to say this, but like I love, love, love the Japanese culture. Like I can't wait to go back. I've only been twice, but I fell in love, and I didn't expect it, and it's just because it's such a kind, understanding, respectful culture rooted in all of those things, but also it's rooted in a culture of cuteness and fun and many of the same things that Walt celebrates. I think that's why there's such a strong fit there with the parks, because I think that the Japanese culture dreams big and that they love their characters, they love their stories, they love their animation. So I think that there's a natural fit there. But as I sit here and just kind of talk to you off the top of my head about all this, I mean, I just can't wait to go back, and I just love it because you go there and it just feels so different. And I feel like when I went to the temple and I'm outside the temple and it's a marketplace, and I don't even know if there was particularly music outside the temple. There probably was, but it's just, I mean, even if it's not there, it's there. I mean, you just feel it in the air. I mean, it is just a wild thing, and you're like, oh wow, it kind of feels like Epcot, and you're like, that's crazy, because this is the real thing. So it's really special. Japan is really, really special, and I do think that there is some sort of weird synergy between Japanese culture and the pure Disney of it all. Enough of the rants. I feel like I've been ranting. Somebody last night said, "You sound like you need a hug." I'm like, maybe two. So I see this TMZ thing. Justin Bieber, this poor guy. And in this video, he's like pleading with the paparazzi. And right out of the gate, I see a man who is a human being asking for a little respect and space. And I thought when I clicked on the comments, because I guess it was a tweet or an X, I don't know. What are you supposed to say? I X'd it? That doesn't sound helpful. It's time to spice up your kitchen with Pampered Chef. Pampered Chef has all the goodies from spatulas, mandolins, and amazing pots and pans, not to mention knives. Plus, don't miss out on small appliances like the deluxe air fryer and coffee maker. Spice up your kitchen today. Go to pamperedchef.com/PWS/Colleen Herman. pamperedchef.com/PWS/Colleen Herman. And with no estate plan, you could be leaving those you love the most with high taxes, probate fees, and an incomplete or divided estate and legal fights and fees. If you live in Florida, contact RK Law for a free consultation to discuss the options you have and the tools available to protect your home, savings, and estate for those you love the most. To get started, send an email to russell@rklawpro.com or call 786-566-2456 to set up your consultation today. That's russell@rklawpro.com. And if you're in the market for a 3D printer, visit flashforge.com. With printers starting at under $300, you can begin your 3D adventures today. Visit flashforge.com. And while you're online, head over to Etsy and the Theme Park Factory. The Theme Park Factory on Etsy is a great way to support this channel. Pick up a Joe Coconut and bring a little bit of the Theme Park Factory to your home. So I click on it, and oh my God, every single comment's like, well, this is what you signed up for. This is what you signed up for. I'm like, what an ugly, and I'm looking for like one comment where they're defending the guy. And there was, because everybody's saying, this is what you signed up for. He's having a mental breakdown. And I'm like, looking for one person to say the right thing. And I found one comment that was like, basically saying, y'all have it wrong. This is a man pleading for a little space and a little respect. He's not having a breakdown. And, despite whatever you may think, like human being first, celebrity second, and it's not cool. So I saw that and I really empathized with the guy. I'm not like a Justin Bieber fan, and I don't think you need to be to empathize with a human experience like that. But I see a guy who was basically pleading for a little privacy because he was with his kids at the beach. And I felt for him. And I was so appalled by the ugly comments. The ugly comments, oh my. Absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific. That he signed up for this somehow. I mean, come on. I mean, are we really this ugly as a people? Are we really this ugly as a culture? I come home from Epcot, and I turn on the TV, and it's the protest, and then Trump's got the military march and all this. And you know what? You want to know what I think? Here's what I think. I think it's all a mess. I think it's all a mess. I think I have nothing but respect for our military and for those who have served, for our veterans. I think that Trump doing what he's doing is a little over the top. I think more importantly, what's going on in California is disgusting. It's sinful. But I also think that Gavin Newsom loves it because he wants to run for president. And I also think that the people protesting, while they have a right to protest today, are giving Trump everything he wants. And I also feel like these are empty protests. And I certainly don't feel like the Democrats are in any position to respond effectively to any of this. So yelling in the streets and trolling on the other side, like, I'm just over it all. You know what I mean? I don't need to agree. I don't need to agree with you. I don't need to agree with you. But, and somebody once said to me that they try to respect everybody. And I was like, no. And excuse me, I don't even think you heard that. But look, you can respect the fact that we are coexisting, okay? Okay, but you have to earn my respect on a personal level. I'm not just going to dole out respect to you because you're in my personal space. You understand what I'm trying to say? There's a difference. I will give respect to you at face value because we're having a shared human experience, but that doesn't buy you a blank check is what I'm getting at. And that's a nuanced take, I know. But I'm not going to go out there and just dole out respect to people who out of the gate do not deserve it. And I look on both sides of this equation, and I think it's gross. And so what I think about respect is I don't have to agree with you. I'm much more interested in hearing what you have to say. And the old phrase, agree to disagree, if that's what you want to call it, so be it. Maybe it's a little corny, but it's true. Like, I would rather go, oh, okay, interesting. I get what you're saying. I don't agree with you. I get it. Interesting take. But as soon as you add all the other nonsense into it, all the emotions, it's out of whack. Right? And then people retreat to their corners. So I think real respect is the idea of understanding that, like, you don't have to be in my bubble. You don't have to agree with me. Somebody told me the other day, they saw somebody asking, I hate to bring up Reddit twice because it's a trash bag, but and it also needs to be regulated. But they were asking for liberal streamers. I guess somebody brought this to my attention. I don't go on Reddit, but things are brought to my attention, and I'm like, that's wild, because, like, why would you want to watch a liberal streamer? I'm not saying there's a problem if they're liberal. I'm saying, why would you want to define what you watch based off of ideology? Why do you want to limit yourself to ideas? One of the things I enjoy most about what we're currently doing with those that are actually hanging out and watching on a regular, not the ones that, are just surfing because it's another Disney live. I really don't want those people as viewers. I get that some of my audience watches other people, and they're smart enough, I think, to know the difference. Okay? That's not what I'm saying. But where I'm going with this is that I think we need to take a pause. I think we're getting way too swept up in the emotion on everything across the board. I think we're getting way too caught up. I really do. I think what's happened is that, oddly, this last election, the Republican Party has captured so many fragmented people and their ideas that it's left the Democrats in a ditch, and maybe deservedly so. But I think the real truth is that behind all of this theater, and that's what I see when I turn on the TV today, is nothing but theater on both sides. Is there a lot of people out there that choose not to engage at this and maybe not even vote, unfortunately, who are independent, who are moderate, and don't want to get caught up in this vitriolic nonsense anymore? I'm not going to be in the business of persuasion, but I will be in the business of conversation. There's a difference. Unless we're trying to, like, actually, find a means to an end. If I'm sitting in a room full of people trying to make a decision, yeah, persuasion may be a thing. But I don't need you to agree with everything, okay, for me to be able to talk to you. In fact, I think the most stimulating conversation comes from a little friction. But that doesn't mean that, A, I'm going to tolerate everything, all right? And B, it doesn't mean that you're, like, suddenly some, like, crazy bigot because you're willing to have a conversation with people. Like, look, now I'm going to find myself in the business of defending Gavin Newsom. But Gavin Newsom had on, like, Steve Bannon. I don't like Steve Bannon. I don't like Steve Bannon at all. He had on Charlie Kirk. I don't really know enough about the guy. I will say that the more I watch him, I don't necessarily dislike him. I appreciate that he's trying to do something. I don't have to agree with him to have that realization. But I don't like Gavin Newsom. I think he's opportunistic, and I hope he never becomes president, and I think most of us feel that way. But he had Bannon on. And, I guess conventional wisdom these days is, why would you give Bannon a platform? But Bannon has a platform. So maybe bringing him in and having a conversation with him will give other people the ability to hear what he has to say, not because they need to be convinced to agree with him, but because they need to hear what he's saying. It's important to hear what's being said. If you keep yourself in a bubble and you only surround yourself with people with the same ideas, then how are you going to find any growth? How are you going to learn? How are you going to evolve? Nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. And I'm not sitting here and saying that I haven't burned relationships over politics. I've burned most of my relationships because people drive me crazy and I'm tired of the BS and people are highly emotional and I quite frankly can't stand human beings, if I'm being really, really candid with you. And oftentimes I feel like I don't relate to them at all. I really feel that way. I really do feel that way. Sometimes I look at them and I just really don't understand. And I think maybe that's just sort of a frame of mind. But I look at the average person like a consumer because that's what they are. And when you see the kind of nasty comments at the bottom of a Justin Bieber video like the ones I saw, it only reinforces the point. I'm not saying that there aren't human beings out there. Of course there are. I've met some really, I talk about a lot of the horrific people that I've met doing this live, but I've met some really incredible people and made some really good friendships, and I've developed some really meaningful relationships even beyond that, and just met some good people along the way. But there's a lot of lunatics out there, you know. There's a lot of lunatics out there. So I'm just at the point when I see stuff like that, like again with the Justin Bieber thing, like I see stuff like that, I'm like, it's time. It really is. It's time for the FCC to regulate. You know, I mean, it's just breeding so much nastiness. And then you see that somebody, I don't remember her name, forgive me, she was just shot and killed today, and they're saying it was politically motivated. And I don't know if it was, and it doesn't really matter, but I guess it does. I don't know. She's a Democrat, and it was another Democrat that shot her because she voted. And I shouldn't even be speculating, but from what I've gleaned, I don't know which one it is. Why did I use that word? It was somebody who was upset that she voted against her party interest, which is just wild in of itself. And I just think we've gotten so ugly as a people, and I think that the internet has gotten so out of control, and I think content creators are so out of control, and I'm not just talking Disney, that that we have to regulate it. I think there needs to be legislation. I think the FCC needs to step in. I don't think everybody should have the ability to go live. Now, by the way, I'm not saying that I should. I don't even care. I'm just saying, you know, look, I've always been a politically motivated person, okay? Politics interests me, and the idea of affecting change and improving upon the world we live in interests me, right? So I'll always put that above all else, even if it is through grit teeth. And I am just sort of looking at it like, again, I use the term self-regulation. People don't know how to do it. So I think it's time that, and I don't really care if it comes from the tyrant in the White House through executive order or if it comes through Congress at this point, but I think there needs to be some sort of executive order slash legislation regarding live streaming and content creation. You know, you see people like Kai Cenat and all them running around in Walmart. And I don't mean to pick on Kai Cenat because he actually seems like he's trying to do some good, although I don't think he's really doing good enough. I mean, if I am going to go down that rabbit hole, most of these guys tend to get a platform and then they don't do anything decent with it. That's another problem. But the idea that you can go into a store where people are shopping with their kids and stream it live, again, these are liabilities. And when I was talking earlier in the podcast about Disney, one of those liabilities with kids becomes, you know, really, really dark when you think about it, because there's some real strange people out there. And when you start putting people's kids on the internet, you're creating a level of exposure that none of us really want to think about, but it should be thought about. And that is why we have people in Congress to legislate. And if they can't get it done, then I will accept the premise of an EO, even though I don't like the person that would be signing it. But look, I think it was Obama who started launching those EOs more than anyone first. So let's try to be fair about things. But the bottom line is, I think that the idea of everyone having the ability to go live is a very, very dangerous thing, and it needs to be regulated, and it needs to happen fast. And then on top of that, content creation in a bathroom anywhere should be illegal, and punishment shall be remedied. It should be a punishable crime. I mean, honestly, I think you should be put in jail. If you get caught recording in a bathroom you should have to go to jail. 24 hours in the slammer if you are caught recording in a bathroom. Period. There's no excuse for recording in a bathroom. Do you know how many ideas I've had for bathroom content over the years that I would never make in Disney World? From the best bathrooms, because I don't want to ruin them for myself, to just sort of like bathroom tips. Like, let me give you a really good bathroom tip. Because now you know what? I'm not even going to tell you. I'm not even going to tell you because some asshole is going to go make a video about it. And now I'm doing the same thing I did with live streaming, which is starting a trend of more problems. So I got this really great bathroom tip, and you're never going to know. You're never going to know. You're never going to know because of other people. It's not that I don't want to tell you, but they ruin it for everybody. All right. I've said what I've said. I think I made it all tie together nicely. You know, I like just sitting here talking to you stream of conscious, especially when I can let it rip. I think I did a good job. I give myself 3 out of 5 stars, and I'll see you next time.